What's happening, friends? Welcome to Podcast Unlocked, episode 433 for, March 3rd already. We're into March. Coming up on this week's show, lots to talk about. GDC is postponed, which means no Xbox events. We'll talk to you about what Microsoft said about the situation here in San Francisco and the GDC. Plus, we've got some interesting follow-ups on the quick resume feature for the Xbox Series X. Phil Spencer talking about the future of physical set-top box consoles, all that and more coming up on Podcast Unlocked. All right, what's happening, friends? Ryan McCaffrey with you. To my right, joining us awesomely, Janet Garcia. Great to see you.
Good to be here.
We've got Brandon Tyrell.
Hello.
Thematically dressed today.
Yes, very green.
Yeah. Right? You're matching the light.
The goal is if I don't know what to say, I just blend into the background.
Just morph into the background. You're a human green screen.
Thank you.
Miranda Sanchez, hi.
Bam. Hello.
Nice.
We got to pass it on. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Well done.
I always feel bad when we forget to do it when Dustin's not here, and I feel like we let people down if we don't give them a good bam.
Maybe we should do a collective bam and blow out everyone's eardrums.
Yeah.
No, let's not do that. So, Destin wussed out again. I mean, last week he said, well, let's let Simon Cardi be on because he's visiting from the UK. This week he had some dumb excuse about work. Whatever.
That's not.
We all work at the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it.
We all have work to do.
But I'm happy to have Janet here because, A, we haven't seen you in a long time on
Yeah.
the show, but B, you led the charge on our preview coverage of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That's where I want to start. Is who else? Brandon, you were there?
Yep.
Brandon, did you get to go? You
I did
didn't
not
either.
get to
Okay, so good. At least got two people.
Yes.
I can pitch you against each. No, it's a really good game.
We did sit side by side, so
We did.
it was
did.
pretty
So-
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, do tell us. I want to hear because I was supposed to go and I was sick that day,
Yes.
so I had to bail out. But yeah, how was it? I mean, I think going in, we all expect this game to be great, not just good, but absolutely great because the first one was great. So how'd the Will of the Wisps feel?
Yeah,
How'd it play?
I think it totally lived up to those expectations, if not even pushing a bit beyond that. Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. I always like to approach things with a healthy amount of skepticism and definitely criticism when it's a preview.
Absolutely.
Obviously, previews are always a weird beast because it's like, even if you love it or you hate it, you don't want to be too declarative because we don't know what the final build is. We don't know how the whole game plays out.
They're always showing you the part. There's a reason you're seeing the part of the
Yes.
game you're seeing because that's what they want you to see.
Well,
So
I thought what was interesting about this one is they did just start us at the beginning, which
Yeah.
was great because
Bodes well.
you get a nice sense of what a player would really experience day one. And at first, I was a little bit skeptical about some of the new things they were introducing, namely the sword, which is called Spirit Edge, I think is
Something
the
like
official
that,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't know, Ori with the sword, like that's either going to get people super hyped up,
Swordy?
or
Ori?
Swordy, as he will
something there.
Try
henceforth
harder.
be known. I'm like, that's either going to be super exciting or kind of like, ooh, I don't know. But I grew to really like it. I thought it was so much more active than the little spirit flame he had before where he'd shoot out. And the big thing I took away from this was the emphasis on combat. Like, it was so combat focused. I think even more so than the first game because you have so many more weapons and abilities. But what really got me excited was how great the platforming is. Like, it's back again, better than ever, and that's what I really loved about Ori and the Blind Forest, and what I subsequently love about Will of the Wisps. Like, I just love those amazing platforming jungle gym set pieces. Like, that's my favorite part of the game, and it's back.
Yeah, Brendan, how did it sit with you?
Yeah, I agree with almost everything that Janet said. I mean, there is a huge emphasis on this sort of kind of kinetic feel of combat to it, just based on like, there's so many things to unlock and to buy and to purchase. You can upgrade just like normal, but now you have so many different opportunities to like customize your character in ways that I'm not going to say they fundamentally change the way the game plays, but it is like a much more different path you can take each time. The other thing I noticed is that because the focus is so clearly on combat, or at least it was in the first 2 hours of the preview. I mean, at one point you find a torch, and you have to use this torch to break bramble walls before you even get a weapon in the game.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a way of giving you a weapon to say like, hey, this is what it's going to be about for the next little while. And then they start that slow on-ramp of power that you're used to in an Ori game. But I will say it was nice. There was a really a juxtaposition that I appreciated because the gameplay was so combat focused. But the beginning of the game is still an Ori game. Like, it still is very much what you remember from Ori 1. There is very heartfelt moments, and there are some obstacles to overcome this time. Really try not to spoil anything. And again, once you overcome that, it's very much a fish out of water kind of lost and alone experience. So the narrative heartstrings that they pulled in the first game are still very much there, but now it's at this like weird kind of breakneck pace where you feel like you're constantly ramping up faster and faster. And it fits, it works because you've already had the experience of Ori 1. You know this little, translucent illuminated squirrel is a badass, right? And you go into the game knowing that, feeling that. And so the on-ramp of abilities and things that you're given is so much faster. By the end of our 2 hour, I think it was 2 hours, at the end of our 2 hour demo, we had abilities that you didn't get until well into Ori 1.
Yeah.
Which really makes me wonder, okay, like how much is there going to be? Because I honestly started getting like a little bit of anxiety, like, oh my God, am I picking the wrong thing?
Can't you switch your loadouts
You
on
can
the fly in this one?
You can, but you can only equip things that you've already purchased. So
Right, okay.
there are NPCs in the game now and merchants to buy stuff from. So you get to the bird with the mask and the bag full of goodies, and he's like, hey, what do you want to buy? And you're like, all right, well, I only have...
Why is he so gruff?
What do you want?
What do you want to buy? I'm the guy from Star Wars episode
Welcome
7.
to my tree. And you're like, I only have 600 schmeckles. What do I buy for 600 schmeckles? I can get the sword, or I can get the laser blaster, or I can get the butterfly that shoots my enemies for me.
I got the butterfly that shot
Obviously
my
the
enemies.
Butterfly was so
I
rad. I bought the
absolutely
butterfly, too.
love when games have like a weapon or ability where it's just sending a thing to fight for you.
It's passive.
It's one of my favorite things. It's just, and I think that's something that was really cool about Ori and the Will of the Wisps as well. It really caters to not only different play styles, but also like different difficulty levels, and not just in the fact that they have normal, easy, and I think they have hard as well, right? Just the standard 3.
Easy, normal, and water
and something
tower.
else. That was my favorite part of that first game, the Ginso tree. Or
when you get through it, it feels so good.
It's so great. That was like instant capture or like auto capture on Xbox. It was so great. But they also have like those abilities where if you're like, I think at this point we all kind of know our strengths as gamers, and if you're not that into the combat, maybe you will get the butterfly, maybe you will end up equipping something that makes it so you take less damage. So, and then there's also conversely an item you can equip where you do more damage, but you also take the same amount of damage.
Oh, I like that.
15 up,
That's
15
cool.
down.
What are those called again?
Spirit charts.
Spirit charts, right.
Yeah.
Risk reward.
They're
thing on
basically
that.
traits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's really cool ways to like cheese that as well. Like I was talking to the composer of the game, and he's like, what he did was he equipped the one that goes 15% up, 15% down, but he also equipped the 10% extra defense, so it was less of a con.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and as like a guides person, I'm like, ooh, that's good. I'm gonna write that down, and I think that's so smart. And they have all these different ways that you can play it up or change it up, whether you're in a boss battle or a really hard platforming section. There's just like a lot of diversity in that. And during my interview portion, like one thing that the producer mentioned was so many people, when they would watch playthroughs of Ori and the Blind Forest, the playthrough kind of looked the same for a lot of people. And what they like about Will of the Wisps is that everyone's playthrough looks a little bit different. So like when I would look over to your monitor, you might have like a different ability that I didn't have, and that would shift how you experience the world versus me. And I think that's really, really strong in the game.
Yeah, I found it particularly effective to sort of the synergy between abilities, like not to harp on it, but the butterfly again. Like I had the sword, and there are different abilities you can select. You can like a charge up spirit arrow, whatever it is. And honestly, I forget all of them, but there were a bunch of different options, and all of them were fairly useful in their own right. But there are a lot of the old enemies are returning again in this game, but there are a bunch of new ones. A couple of them are really aggressive to the point where like they land on the ground, and it feels like a knockdown, drag out, like Duke
Fighting
fight.
game, kind of quick.
But
round
it
of
felt
fighting.
really good to like hop in the air, pop my butterfly there, land on the ground, and use my sword and just beat that thing's ass just right into the ground, because I smack it and then it rears back to hit me, and my butterfly pops it, and I'm like, so it feels really good to mix and match in that regard. And just to touch on one other thing that Janet said, boss battles are in the game now. So
Oh, that's going to be good.
in the past, it was very much like chase sequences
Right.
or what was the owl's name? Talon, Shadow, something like that. I don't know, something dark and ominous.
Although boss battles in an Ori game, should I buy a second controller in anticipation of smashing the first one in frustration of the boss fight?
I thought it wasn't too bad.
Not
it
too
was,
bad?
but it was the first one, and that was something that I put in my preview where I'm like, wasn't in love with them, but they could like build and scale more.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's either we're gonna see them scale and get really hard, or maybe they'll stay at kind of the same. They're very beautiful. Like just having those giant like beasts come after you, because Ori is so small. Like Ori is so small that like a rock is bigger than Ori.
Yeah.
Like it's a tiny little character. So I like that fear. You know, it gives me that like anyone that played Unravel will recognize that kind of setup. But you know, it's very like, okay, there's like a fire wave and you jump over it, and then like it's very kind of samey.
Methodical?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very methodical, and a lot of boss battles are, because you also want to design it so that the players like have a chance to do it and to learn
pattern
it.
recognition.
Yeah, and I love a good pattern recognition boss. I think maybe, you know, I think it'll be interesting if they incorporate more of the platforming, because what we fought was very like down to the ground combat focused instead of off the wall. So I'm looking forward to, I hope they get creative with it, because to me, I'm like, they added it. They had to have added it for a reason. I personally haven't seen that yet, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be there in the final product.
I saw Aaron Greenberg posting on Twitter. He was running around the halls at Xbox campus wearing an Ori onesie.
Oh, I saw
yeah,
that.
I saw that.
That's
too.
good.
It's really funny.
How is there, and back me up on this, Miranda,
Yes.
how is there not an Ori plush?
There is.
There is.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've seen that.
Okay.
There's
good.
there's
All
one,
right.
and there's
Thank
a
goodness.
there's I'm like
That's the thing that
I'm like,
you
is this
did.
plush embargo? There's a new they at the event they had like the owl and Ori on it.
right.
And it's magnetic, and Ori holds onto it, and the owl's made of this really interesting fabric that's kind of like more textured, but it's still soft. So it's a good plush. It is going to be for sale. I did ask that. Can confirm is for sale. I'm going to count that as part of the interview, so I think I can mention that. But yeah, so they do have that. In the first game, they had Ori, and it was like sleeping Ori held by, what's the name of, you know, I forgot the name of the character.
yeah.
The cute, you know,
Yeah.
we know who it is.
Bear guy.
Not the spider one, but the bear one.
Yes, the bear one. I don't know what the real names of these are, but I love how games have that when there's like too much jargon or names. You're just like, the bear.
Well, that's a great thing. Is that all the narrative of that is
Yes. And I'm like, oh, that's so true.
Yeah,
I
it
would have
is.
to-
You speak to my heart, narrator.
But yeah, they still got some good plushes. So.
Yeah.
To get one of those plushes for my daughter.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes,
man.
for your daughter.
Own
Or
it.
for yourself.
No, they're
Just
cute.
look at my desk.
Why not? It's fine. You bought a
everywhere.
$500 sheep.
No,
I didn't buy it.
Okay.
Janet
All right.
did.
Let's not
bought
call anyone out.
I
here.
with like 20 or 30.
I'm not saying it in judgment. I'm saying
Coalition of the Willing. We
Yeah.
got the big sheep, and big sheep is arriving on
Pokemon.
Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
there's a
that's gonna
Twitter
be good.
account for it. I can't remember the handle.
I think so.
Big Sheep Marie IGN.
Is there
or
going to be an
something.
unboxing of this, by the way?
We put in a Trello card to try to get an unboxing going down. We're also going to do like some photo shoot stuff. You know, you can take a picture with it for the gram if you want.
Nice.
That's
gram.
not Xbox related, but plushes are universal across
Yeah.
This is
platforms.
true. This is a fact.
So, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up with Ori before we move on is, so I just double checked early in the conversation. Will o' the Wisps is coming out exactly to the day 5 years after
Oh, wow.
Blind Forest did,
That's
March
really
11th,
cool.
2015 to 2020. And the first one still is
up,
still a beautiful game
Yeah.
from a technical artistic perspective. How good did this one look sitting down in front of what I'm sure were 4K monitors?
They were very much 4K.
Yeah,
All four of the Ks were there, and it looks
Wow.
beautiful. Right? I mean, Ori looked beautiful as well. Ori's got this really awesome art style where it's almost ethereal, kind of. There's a lot of gradients. There's a lot of like backlighting and sort of illumination plays a huge part of it, and that's all on display here as well. But what I took away from it is it looks so much more detailed this time. Like just the amount of details. And look, that game takes place in a forest. It's really easy to get lost in there. But I really did honestly feel like it looked so much more detailed, especially sort of weird ramshackle huts and little small villages that you saw along the way, indicating, you know, the new addition of PCs and all that. But I never felt lost. Like I never felt like anything stood out. And I think it's a really admirable thing to be able to make something look super detailed without having it either drowned in the background or have elements that aren't interactive pop into the foreground.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they do a good job utilizing the background, which they did do in Blind Forest. It just feels like in every way, both visually, musically, and gameplay-wise, this is a better version of what came before. And it's really building on those ideas, not just in the gameplay, but also in the visuals. So yeah, it looked gorgeous. The style is pretty much the same as Blind Forest, so it's like picture Blind Forest but more beautiful,
If it ain't
more
broke,
lifelike.
don't fix it.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit more light this time around, because I remember starting off Blind Forest, which I replayed the first like hour or so leading up to the preview, and it's a very like, it leans heavier on the darks and the purples and the blues. And this game definitely has lots of purples and blues, but it also has those lush greens. And I think it seems like there's going to be more visual and environmental diversity in this forest, which I think is really exciting.
One thing, sort of a final point, I guess, is you called out in your preview, and everybody should go read or watch, Janet.
Or read and watch. Let it play in the background is what I tell people.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the final preview.
Yes.
Look it up on IGN or YouTube. You called out something I thought was a really clever observation, really sort of excellent observation about how the subtle little animations in just the static environment of like branches swaying, and like it lent a lot of life to each scene, right?
Yeah, and the building on that too, something I also mentioned in the same preview is the platforming not only feels good, but it looks so beautiful. Like seeing like when Ori jumps, he'll like do these kind of crazy acrobatic spins, and it felt like a more lively, beautiful looking of like that classic kind of PS2 360 era of like platformers where it kind of played so much with the environment. So yeah, it just felt and looked really great.
Excellent. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to need hopefully the early part of the game allows for this. I feel like I'm going to need a little time to kind of get my bearings after not playing. Because what I remember about the first one is that at first, the jumping, the platforming felt like I wasn't. It took me time to kind of learn it. Like there's sort of a
super
style or
slight delay to it.
There's sort of it's got its own unique feel to it. But then once you get, or at least once I settled in, it felt, it was great. So I wonder I feel like I'll probably need that again after 5 years.
I think they provide that.
We only got 2 hours with it, right? And we both made it to the end of our 2 hour demo. I felt the exact same way. I'm like, man, it's been like 2 years since I've played this. There's no way. And then the thing to remember is you start that game with a single solitary jump. You can jump once, and then they slowly build on it and add. So by the time you're getting each new piece, you've already mastered the piece before it. Really smart design. But it comes back so quick.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. And then we've got, by the way, it's 1 week.
Yeah, day one on Game Pass. So
yes.
It's crazy.
This is well, no, I guess Gears 5 launched straight into Game Pass, and that was a extremely big deal, well-regarded game. So here you go. 2020 is the year where Game Pass, as if it wasn't already paying off, but now the first-party, big, awesome exclusives launching straight in.
Yeah, and really quick, Ori and the Blind Forest was the first, because I got the Xbox One later than, like I didn't get it when it first came out. That was the first game on Xbox that I really, really loved. So for me, I love being able to be here and to talk about it on this show, because like to me, Ori and Xbox, they're so like married. Like my love of the Xbox One started with Ori and the Blind Forest. So it's so great to be here 5 years later and getting to jump back into that universe again. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yay, next week.
Yay.
All right. Let's do some news now. GDC, as you may or probably have heard by now, because boy, was it big game industry news. It has been postponed to the summer. Now, I want to clarify, I'm absolutely not rooting for it to be canceled, but when they said postponed, I'm just skeptical, honestly, that it is going to come back around this year, because unless the show organizers already had built-in contingencies for this, which they might, I don't know. I don't know if they account for natural, sort of acts of God, or in this case, a possible epidemic of a virus. But I just don't see how they're going to be able to find a date where the Moscone Center, where it's held in San Francisco, is available, and the industry itself is available, because the summer's a busy time.
It is,
even though
with events.
Yeah, right. There aren't a lot of game releases in the summer, but there are a ton of events throughout the summer. So I'm a little skeptical that GDC is going to happen this year. But for now, the show organizers say it will happen at some point in the summertime.
Yeah, I just don't know when. When would that be? I mean,
E3 June,
when are-
Comic-Con July, Gamescom August,
And
TGS
PAX
September,
West.
PAX West
Between
August,
August and
September.
September.
Yeah.
I think it's also a question of will people feel comfortable going to events too? Because obviously everyone's taking massive precautions. Like I know a lot of companies aren't letting their employees travel for anything anymore just because they want to keep everyone as healthy as possible and like reduce potential spread of the virus. And like there's all these precautions that people are taking, and we don't know how long it's going to go on.
Yeah,
need
that's
to
a
go
great
on.
point too. I mean,
there's already rumblings of like, well, is E3 really going to happen? And I 100% think it'll happen.
Yeah.
But people are forecasting that amount of caution into the future.
and which is wise. I mean, because I agree, we just don't know. Because we have this thing's getting worse week by week as far as the number of cases and the spread of it. It is not getting better. It is trending in the wrong direction.
And not to be like to scare anyone or anything. I know there's like a lot of news about this that is very
Doom
intense.
and gloom.
Well, and
That is
you-
very
and you don't want to tune into an Xbox show to hear about this
right.
stuff.
Yeah,
I get
but
it.
it is something that impacts every single industry, and especially in an industry where we go to conventions to touch things. That's a little bit tough there. If you want to wash your hands constantly, and you can only do that so often. Hand sanitizer does help.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we leave a con with the PAX plague or the con flu or whatever?
It happens.
I mean, there's just a lot of people in a small space doing a lot of exchanging of hard plastic materials. So
You're right about E3 though. I mean, I think it's fair that it's on cancellation watch right
sure.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Right.
To be 100% clear, we did reach out to the ESA, which puts on E3. They gave us a statement, and they did say, everyone is watching the situation very closely. We will continue to be as vigilant as our first priority is the health, wellness, and safety of all of our exhibitors and attendees. Given what we know at this time, we are moving ahead full speed with E3 2020 planning. Exhibit and registrations are on track for an exciting show in June. So we'll see, but I think we have to prepare ourselves as media who cover E3 to be not able to go play Series X games, which would be a real shame, and instead watch Nintendo Direct, Xbox Direct, Ubisoft Direct, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's on the table. At this
Yeah.
point.
We'll just have to play the games we already have. Just hop on Game Pass.
That's true.
Just hang out
I mean,
there.
if
But
we-
yeah, I
if
think
we
it's on
all
the table for sure.
collectively agree to take 2020 off and just get through our backlog.
We still wouldn't make it.
Wait, no. Oh,
Not
never.
the
No,
worst thing.
we'd be like, actually, I just ended up watching the show on Netflix for like 3 hours, and then I went to sleep in my shame.
Actually, I just ended up scrolling through the menu of Netflix, wondering what to watch for 3
Or
hours.
it's like,
and I went to sleep.
I've been thinking about this game all day, but I didn't actually download it. So now I guess this is tomorrow's game, maybe.
A little Final Fantasy remake blues in there.
But yeah, I mean, it would be shocking if E3 got canceled over this, but I think it's definitely on the table in the sense that I just see this getting worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think-
Yeah.
Just
I think so.
because, and like with it's only fall right now, or like or spring, I
Fall?
guess. We just started in spring. It's March, where it is time.
Janet's in Australia right
Yes.
now.
Yes. I was gonna say something snooty, but I'm just gonna keep moving. But yeah, it is now officially spring, according to some. And it's close enough that if this kind of thing is happening now, like who's to say it won't ramp up? And I think in the case of GDC, obviously we're not part of it in the sense that we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. But for me, I was like, okay, I think this might get canceled as more and more people were kind of pulling out. It's like, at what point is there no longer a show to even run, even if you did do it? So and I think with a lot of places have legislation in place where they can stop massive gatherings due to epidemics and things, and so it might not even be in their control at the end of the day. It could just be like a governmental thing. So hopefully not just because we want it to happen, but because hopefully this issue is better by then.
Sure hope so.
Yes. Wash your hands.
Microsoft, of course, was due to be part of GDC. They were going to have an ID at Xbox showcase that we were all going to go to, as well as an Xbox game showcase.
One of my favorite events of the year.
Which, Brandon, I know you and I specifically were extra excited because it's been actual years since Microsoft has done a spring showcase.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had the games to do it. But now they finally do, and here we are.
I'm not super duper worried about it. I mean, obviously they'll get that message out and get it in hands of the people who need to be playing it. At some point, disappointed for sure. Like I was really looking forward to that event, but understanding the situation the way it is, I still feel like it's Microsoft's coming out party. This is the year. So
Oh,
we'll just have to
absolutely.
push it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still happening.
Party's still on.
Yeah, party's still on.
So
my parents aren't leaving till 8 now, but the party's still on.
Microsoft's statement. So Microsoft, you alluded to it, Janet, is one major exhibitor after another started canceling their GDC plans until finally last Friday, GDC was officially postponed.
Yeah.
And so Microsoft was one of the ones that did back out prior to that final announcement. With this statement, they said, after a close review of guidance by global health authorities and out of an abundance of caution, we've made the difficult decision to withdraw from participating at Game Developers Conference 2020 in San Francisco. The health and safety of players, developers, employees, and our partners around the world is our top priority, especially as the world is experiencing growing public health risks associated with coronavirus. In light of this, we plan to move our presence to a digital-only event March 16th to 18th, held on Microsoft.com/GameStack. This event will feature the majority of our planned game developer sessions and experiences, which will be streamed live and available on demand. So there will still be some Microsoft GDC panel kind of content happening the same week. It will instead be a virtual conference rather than a meet space
A webinar,
conference.
if you will.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, as you said, Brandon, I'm sure we will get to check out that spring Xbox One lineup some way, somehow. You know, it's Wasteland 3, it's Gears Tactics, it's let's see, Ori will be out. There's Grounded. There's, I know I'm leaving stuff out.
Bleeding Edge.
Thank you, Bleeding Edge. That's on its way. That's pretty imminent as well. So.
And then also all the ID at Xbox games.
Yeah, everything that was. We didn't even make it so far as
To figure out what they are.
Well, I didn't get the list. Yeah, it was canceled before I got the list of what the titles for that ID
I
at
want to
Xbox
know where
showcase.
Ooblets is.
Yeah.
Still waiting for Ooblets.
Can you still go down the street and ask?
They're not publishing anymore.
They're not. Oh, that's right. I think you told me that at some point. Yeah.
Where's Ooblets, y'all?
That's like one of my most anticipated games of the year every year until it comes out.
Yes.
My number one ID at Xbox game right now is and it's by a mile. And that's not to say there aren't a bunch of great ones out there, but the one that I have super visibility on that I've seen, actually I've played it, is 12 Minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that looks really good.
That was one of the great surprises for me at E3 last year. Got to play it behind closed doors at the show last year, and I have thought about that game a lot. Like, it looks really good.
I love games like that.
Yeah, I'm not normally a big roguelike player, but it's sort of it's obviously roguelike kind of under the hood, but it's more of a narrative experience that's just kind of got
I didn't actually know it had
roguelike hook. Well, in the sense that I don't know. Maybe I'm explaining it badly.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if roguelike is quite
maybe
the term
not.
for it, just because of, the setup is familiar to it because you're constantly
you're kind of
starting
looping over and
on a
over.
loop.
Chris Nolan presents ID at Xbox.
Yes.
I guess that's fair.
I'm sold.
There's
Yeah,
another
I'm
game
down.
like that I will not mention, but you know what it is.
Yes, I think I know. I
not gonna say-
like this.
I think I'm out of the.
The
people
game
get
he
it on
always
loop?
mentions.
The people listening can't see your finger guns.
It's
I know.
it's
For those
wild
listening,
that
Brian
you
did
are
finger
out
guns.
of the loop on this one.
Not piecing it together, Ryan.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh my goodness.
It's Outer Worlds, right?
That just makes her mad.
Also a Game Pass game.
Yes, absolutely. I love that both are in Game
Just
Pass.
search O and download everything you see.
It can't be a long list. Ooblets will be in that.
Yes.
Hopefully, eventually.
That'd be great.
Miranda is the champion of all games that start with the letter O.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okami.
I like Okami.
Yeah.
Overwatch,
Otogi?
I'm a little mixed on.
Otogi? Original Xbox?
I didn't play that one. I know of it.
It's really
Well,
good.
clear
I could be a
schedule.
champion.
From software. Yeah. Good times.
Could be
Well,
a champion.
since we're all talking about our ID at Xbox games, I just want to say, when am I going to get to play as my cute little Zelda fox, Tunic?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that game looks great too.
Gosh,
That was
thank you
another
for
one. I was
bringing that
thinking
one
about
up.
Too. I feel like we could make a whole list of ID at Xbox games we really, really want to play.
Yeah.
There's
One,
so-
my
a lot
favorite,
of them are by Finji. So
my favorite genre is cute That's
That's
so I'm
a
like,
genre?
yes. I'm like, oh, cute like? Okay, fox? Yes.
Cute
Cute.
like.
Ooblein.
Cute,
It's like
like,
cute
that's so
like.
good.
Yes. I really want to make a list of
good.
the best cute games because, like, I just love a good cute game.
Yeah.
And if you mix it with, like, cute and dark, it's kind of what Ori is, where it's like, it's cute, but
Yeah.
it's also dark.
Very
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Like, are you
Absolutely.
adorable, but is
dark.
everything trying to kill you?
Yeah.
Download. Love it.
It makes it.
Add to cart.
It adds to the sense of drama because not only is a thing trying to kill you, but you're also super cute and don't deserve it.
I feel like From Software is actually really good at that too.
Yeah.
Speaking of them, they have
Yeah.
a lot of very cute things, but everything's trying to kill you or is spooky, but still cute. So that was
that-
the list I was gonna make one day.
That's what.
Cutest things in Dark Souls and Bloodborne. They're in
That'd be
there.
really good.
Top 10
In there.
adorable things fighting for its life.
The messages are
IGN.com.
so good.
Yeah.
Them.
Oh, Tunic. I'm glad you reminded me.
That's
of
why I'm looking forward to Tunic. It's because
Yes.
it's got the lock-on sort of Frumsian, which is a term I'm going to start using now instead of
is-
Souls-like. It's
Yeah.
got a Frumsian element to it. And I actually took that. I took that meeting. God, Ryan, what was that? 2 years.
2
ago?
years ago.
2 E3s ago now.
Yeah.
I took that meeting, and behind closed doors, they showed off a bunch of stuff from later in the game, and it is crazy. Like the demo we all played, it was very cute and Zelda-like, and
Like,
oh,
we've
there's
seen that demo so many times.
there's
too.
a hidden bush, and if you turn the camera, you can see a chest you couldn't see before. But the stuff behind the scenes was like a huge, weird Gothic cathedral where when you're not looking, a shadow is moving closer to you, and then you turn around and then you walk into a room, and it's like there's a chair and a bookcase and a table, and one of them is a monster, and you don't know which one it is, and it's exactly like a mimic from Dungeons and Dragons,
Or Prey.
or
Or
Prey.
that part
Yeah.
of Super Mario 64 where the piano isn't a piano.
So it's not a new concept, but it's still very effective.
But it's a great concept.
That's spooky.
Yeah, and there are enemies later on where like you have to link together and combine multiple different items, and they just beat the crap out of this
Linked
box.
together, you say.
Hey,
I was thinking that too.
I feel like Tunic is going to get. It's sort of approaching that Cuphead's
that
place
mythic
of of like highly anticipated ID at Xbox game being made by
One dude.
the smallest team,
Yeah,
one
one guy.
person in this case, where it's been shown, the same demo's been shown a lot at events, and everybody kind of gets to that point of like, okay, I'm just ready for it to come out. Hopefully it will end up, the end of the story will be like Cuphead, where the whole thing comes out and it's glorious.
Yes.
Yeah, there's several other adventure and action games that I'm waiting for from ID at Xbox, but keep an eye out for them.
We'll keep our ears to the ground, or put our heads to the railroad track for the train.
There's
Sure.
something there.
Something going
there.
on. Anyway, let's talk a little Series X.
Tuesday.
That's what you want in 2020. More next gen talk. So, Microsoft's Larry Herb, better known as Major Nelson, discussed a deeper level of the quick resume feature on his weekly podcast. He was speaking with Jason Ronald, who's the director of program management at Xbox. And Larry was talking about, he says, he'll probably get in trouble for talking about this, which is always, that's like podcast gold right there.
Yeah.
You got to tune in at that point. So he discovered during a take-home test, they have, Phil has tweeted about how they have take-home prototype boxes. That's like the one that got photographed and put on the internet.
Yeah.
So Larry says, one of the things that I was noticing when I was in the lab, when I was playing it, I was switching back and forth just real quickly and seamlessly between games, but then I had to reboot because I had a system update. And then I went back to the game and went right back to it. So it survives, meaning the quick resume, survives a reboot. That's amazing. And Jason Ronald confirming that's the case and saying it's hard to go back to older consoles after using quick resume of the Series X. Says if I just want to have a quick gaming experience, I can instantly jump in, have a great time, and then know that the next time I come back, I'll be right where I was, just like the Switch.
So this speaks to me in particular
Which is,
because
everything should have that feature forever.
I have a big problem with like playing a video game. This actually happened to me last week when I was playing Doom 2016.
Yeah.
I was playing the game. I paused it because my puppy was eating something. And I went over there and like,
Dang it, Penny.
stop, shoo, stop, don't that. And then my girlfriend's like, hey, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know, let's make chicken. So we started making dinner, and then we made dinner, and then we ate dinner. And at some point during this hour and a half process, my Xbox turned off, and I had to boot it back up, start from the save point. But now, so your Xbox turns off after that hour of
you're good.
sleep timer. You just go and turn it back on, and then you
Back where you were.
pick right back up. So Yeah, I guess sort of a long-winded way of saying I approve, and I'm excited for it.
You can now make chicken without any fear.
Take care of your dog. Take care of your dinner.
Yes.
Don't
No,
don't
it
lose
is
your
cool
save.
though that I think nobody was necessarily expecting it to survive a reboot. Like if you think, I think most people you think, oh yeah, if I have to reboot something, kind of we're starting fresh here. So the fact that it's still instant, it's still quick resumes.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
I'd love to know how that works.
Yeah.
I imagine it's some sort of like similar to how it works now with a low power mode where it's off, but it's, not really off. It's slightly off.
Yeah.
It's mostly off. But it's still got enough juice in it to like run necessary systems. I honestly have no idea. I'd love for the hardware team to like explain it on the Xbox blog
They are invited here anytime.
or on IGN.com.
Yeah, come on in. We'll talk. It'll be fun.
That's such a cool feature.
Yes,
Yeah, I like it.
agreed. Finally this week, Phil Spencer sat down with Ted Price in kind of a developers interviewing developers thing. It's a series that Ted Price has been doing.
Yeah.
They shot this at DICE in Vegas last month and just published it. And Phil saying that physical Xbox consoles are probably not going anywhere yet, even as the cloud becomes more prevalent. So there was a topic on this. This came up on whether the industry is going to move to just cloud stuff. If the future of the gaming industry, we're just heading for the cloud and never turning back. Phil saying, quote, "I hope not. I think it's going to have a game console I think I'm going to have a game console plugged into my television for the next decade plus. I think the best way for me to play on my television is going to be having a device that downloads the games I want to play. But sometimes I'm not going to be in front of my television. Sometimes I'm not in front of a device that has a native capability to play. That's our bet on cloud." So effectively, he's saying, still going to have the set-top boxes for a while. We're going to augment that with the xCloud streaming experience. And it's kind of, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm kind of reassured to hear that, the physical machine isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Absolutely. Like, they're not trying to be like, oh, yes, xCloud is the way of the future, and you will only have this, and this is our entire direction going forward. It's like, no. We still value being able to have your games downloaded, have them at home, have them where you're at, have your box. I think that's really important just because not everyone necessarily has infrastructure to do just like cloud gaming. It's a little too much to just say, this is what we're going to do right now. And so it is good to say like, hey, for a long time, we're going to have this. And like, it's fine if you don't want to jump on board with the cloud gaming stuff. And it's just more of a convenience feature, a thing that you can have as a good service and not necessarily the only thing you will have in the future. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, especially coming off. Do you guys remember when the One X was first announced? And it was like, it was always online, and you had to check in once every 24 hours.
The one, yeah.
I'm sorry, the one.
Yeah.
And then it started the very predictable media segment of like, is this the last console generation before we move into just plugging it straight into the back of our heads? So it's nice.
jump.
It's nice to hear. And honestly, like everything Microsoft has done in the space between the one and where we are now has been about providing options for the ecosystem. Get into our ecosystem and you can do whatever you want. If you want to play it on PC, cool. One X, One S, One Series X, doesn't matter. Just get in here. We'll make it work. Trust us. Well, if we don't have an answer, we will have an answer. And xCloud is just another like, hey, are you on a business trip? Are you at a bus stop? Are you in carpool? Are you stuck in traffic? And play Gears,
I'm
Unless you're
all
driving.
of those things.
all of
I'm
those.
on a business
That is
trip,
my
at a bus
entire
stop,
week.
in traffic. I have anxiety right now.
Yeah, this reassures me about the physical box, but notice he says download the games. Is that from the disc you put into it? Like, I'm still worried.
If you want to.
Yeah, sure. But like I always, as someone who loves physical media, but also loves things like Game Pass, so I'm not like completely all physical. For me, what I'm worried about is when that part goes away, or it doesn't completely go away, but becomes something like so not prevalent that it's like almost obsolete.
Like that's what PC gaming is now.
Yeah.
You are
Remember when you
hard
said
pressed.
that?
When is the last time you saw a PC
you are-
game box?
They
I've
don't
seen
exist.
One.
Have
It's
you?
really weird.
Well, I
It's
watched a lot of like
they do
retro
exist.
YouTubers, so they're like, "Here's my PC collection." It's a bunch of these big box games. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
not
feel
in
like
real life.
I feel like it was the last one I bought was like maybe Burning Crusade for World of Warcraft, and that was years ago.
I had some Sims game boxes for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question. We could do a fun little feature around the office. What's the last game you bought physically
Retail,
on
yeah.
PC? Because
Wow.
I have a drawer in my desk that has all of my like classic 90s and 2000s from like my PC era.
Just the jewel cases, or you have the cardboard marketing materials?
I kept a few of the cardboard boxes, like my Full Throttle box, because I nerded out early in my career, and I made the unprofessional move of asking Tim Schafer to sign it because I was like, I just love that game so much.
You know what? I doubt he even remembers.
I doubt
I think you're fine.
it's fine.
Well, be sure to remind him next time we see him.
You can. I'll bring it.
I literally saw him like on Friday. I was
You were walking to
I was
lunch.
walking up Brandon Street, and he walked right past me wearing a pink T-shirt, and I'm like, that man just is so. That guy, he just has this aura about him. It's just like, I'm Tim Schafer.
He's the
You know?
best.
Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, what's the last physical? I mean, we're gonna be having this conversation about Xbox before too long.
It's funny because I think I never had any physical PC games. Like I did play on my computer, but I didn't have physical games. But it's funny because my old roommates were cleaning up the apartment, and they're like, hey, I found this, and like you work in like games, like you cover games and stuff, right? And they gave me a physical PC copy of The Witcher, and I was like,
of Witcher 1.
I think Witcher 3. I don't remember.
3,
I remember
okay.
like, or maybe it was 2.
2. I
It was
think it
Witcher
was
2.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was on PC, and I was like, cool. And I'm like, does anyone want this?
Yeah, we were
What
saying when
do
you brought
I
it up, I
do?
was like, what is
I put
this
it on the
relic?
free table at work, and I don't know what happened to it. Someone probably just threw it
My
in the
computer
garbage.
doesn't have a disk drive.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have not purchased a disk drive for my computer
Yeah.
for a very long time.
So, I
Which
do
is-
think it's inevitable that
It's the Lockhart.
that will happen with consoles, and I understand that, but as someone that loves physical media, like I'm just clinging on for dear life.
I think there's always those companies like Limited Run and others that will kind
Yeah,
of put
of
out
course.
physical media for special digital
Yeah.
games and stuff.
And it's a
So I think that's
Oh,
always
Limited Run just last week.
Limited Run's great.
I saw a post for they're doing a physical re-release of The Secret of Monkey Island for Sega CD,
oh nice.
which is just like the most left field but kind of awesome.
It's a
thing.
niche demographic.
Yeah.
It's a niche demographic.
That's I
think
couldn't
it-
help
But like those people though are so excited, and I
Absolutely.
think that's what's so cool about limited run games because it's like off the beaten path, hyper specific stuff. I mean, I have the
Buying a collector's
the Jack
edition.
and Daxter collector's edition. I can't speak today. Like on my desk, and like I don't know how many people were as hyped as well. Obviously, a lot because it sold out, but like as I was, but the few of us that were could do that, which is cool, and I like that Limited Run does that. But I also like that these larger games do get physical releases, and we'll see how long that goes for. Xbox had the discless
the sad
version, the sad.
Xbox. One
And we
sad.
do know that they did try to pull that with the one initially, which they backpedaled from, and are now have a very different approach. But it always kind of feels like I feel like you showed me where you wanted to go at least at one point, and even though you backed off and showed me something else, that's kind of in the back of my head at all times.
Yeah,
We'll see.
well, I guess the devil's advocate argument would be like, okay, Phil's saying this now in 2020, but what if a few years down the line, what if xCloud ends up actually being everything Microsoft has talked about and said it will, and 5G comes along, 5G wireless cellular technology comes along and is prevalent and great, like maybe it's not out of the question that he changes his mind if streaming can get that good
in
the
10
next
years.
In the next 5
I think there'd
years.
probably still be
I don't
something
think
out
so,
as an
dude.
option, though.
I
don't
still
see
don't
it.
have fiber, and I live in the Bay
Yeah.
Area. I don't know.
And
I
we-
think that's different with 5G and stuff.
Yeah.
We're in one of the, if not the tech capital of America. Like infrastructure to support the internet is not. It's just not there across like coast to coast. There are large chunks of the U.S. that still don't have broadband.
I think there's also just so much value in having the shelf space of it and having it
true.
out there, and like it being a product, even if it's not going to be the most profitable sector of Microsoft in terms of their gaming division. I think that will keep it alive, maybe even for longer than it needs to be, just because there's something cool about going hands-on and seeing it and having it rather than it kind of being in the ether. I think that people react differently to it. Certainly in our coverage, even just people were so, interested in the cool mock-up that our design team made. And that was just a cardboard version of the console, let alone like when the actual one comes around. And I think that kind of hype level will exist for a while.
Can you just imagine the excited kid on Christmas morning 10 years from now?
It's just
Opens a really light box.
Yeah. It's just
And
a
it's
piece
just
of cardboard.
it just has a little note in there that says xCloud.
Yeah.
Like, hey, my new console. Woo!
My present is all around me.
My first console was just in the air.
Yeah.
Just the network.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's supply and demand, really. And it speaks back to your physical edition of games, right? It's every once in a while we get a press release. We're like, hey, Darling Indie Game is getting a physical retail release. That is big for that because normally it's digital only.
Yeah.
As long as there's a sector of your market that consumes games physically, there are going to be physical editions. But as we start to move toward this sort of digital thing, I think within this console generation, we're going to see a major AAA game not do a physical release.
Wow.
That's a
bold prediction.
Bold but fair prediction.
Well,
Are you willing to bet some in and out for it?
You know what? If we still know each other in 5 years, yes.
If an asteroid hasn't hit the Earth and
I think it'll be later than
April.
5 years.
April.
I'm gonna call it's gonna be later than 5 years.
So
Well,
you're
it could be a long
you're just
time.
gonna
Over.
you're just gonna Price is Right me?
We have to
5
go over
years,
and under.
Bob. 5 years in a day, Bob.
Yes.
All
More
right.
than.
Drew Carey's the host now. Come on. Show a little respect.
It'll always be Bob to me.
Oh.
Finally this week, Miranda reminding me about a new Halo release that happened.
Yay! Combat Evolved is on PC.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
They're moving through there. They said they were going to go in universe chronological order. So Reach, CE, 2, and then it should be Halo 3 ODST after 2, since it takes place during the events of Halo 2. Then 3, then 4, then 5.
Makes total
I guess
sense to me.
5's not part of Master Chief Collection, so never mind. So 3, then 4. Right?
I mean,
think I've got
if
it
you
all.
want
You
to
could
go,
have said anything.
if
in
you
the
want to go
last 30
story
seconds.
timeline versus release,
That's what they're doing.
they're doing story timeline.
That's what they
I
said.
did Reach first.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll just go and shut up now.
Yeah, I'm not pulling your leg.
Oh, that's fine.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
now
So
Combat Evolved's on Steam, on PC retailers, ready to go.
It'll be nice. I actually want to take a look at it because, I mean, I played a lot of the Gearbox PC version from 18 years ago, whatever it was. And
Wow.
and what was it called, Ryan? It was like Halo. You told me this
it
morning.
was just Halo PC.
Oh, I thought it was like Vista or something.
Oh, well, that's Halo 2.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're right.
You remember
the next
that?
release,
Yeah.
it was literally Halo 2 Vista because it was for Windows Vista.
Jesus.
I remember
it had-
Vista.
The two extra maps multiplayer maps that they included in Vista, which are in Master Chief Collection, they're the only two maps I'd never seen before. Miranda's dropping stuff.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Telling on you. They're the only two maps I'd never seen until Master Chief Collection came out. Yeah, they were clearly cutting room floor maps.
After the fact.
Yeah, they're because I say that because Halo 2 has, in my opinion, the greatest, highest quality collection of maps. There's so few duds. There really aren't even any duds, but these two are duds. The two Windows Vista maps, not so good.
It's been so long. I bet if you put them all in the lineup, I wouldn't even be able to pick them out.
Oh, I think you would.
You'd be like, wait, what are these? Like, I know these.
It sounds like a
vaguely.
fun game.
Like I remember Midship and I might actually call them by their wrong names since they've released the
They've
same
released
maps
them so
multiple
many
times.
times, yeah.
I remember Midship. I remember Battle Creek, or was it Beaver Creek at that point?
Battle was first, Beaver was second, I believe.
I
Right,
think that's
Miranda?
correct.
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
Then Blood Gulch, or I believe at that point it was Coagulation
Correct.
in Halo
Yes,
2.
sir.
Then it was Hemorrhage, right?
Yes, that was one of the next versions.
Anyway, point is I know stuff.
But see,
But
what other
you remember the peak ones, right? Like you remember the ones.
Ivory Tower.
Oh my God, Ivory Tower. Yeah, that was a great one.
So many good ones.
Anyway, Jenna,
I'm just like,
every few times we
ooblets.
talk about Halo, we just talk about these maps. We get real
Sorry.
excited because they're excellent.
But see,
sorry,
again-
they're excellent. There's so many people out there listening, like, yeah, I remember that because we all do, and it was just a great time.
Terminal.
Foundry. Was Foundry?
Foundation.
Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, which when the game first came out, you would unlock it by finishing the single player campaign, and it was a remake of a marathon map,
Yeah.
way from Bungie's past.
Mapcast.
Yeah, but
You know what? They wouldn't mind.
my
that'd be
point
great.
is most shooters with great multiplayer you could name 15 years later, you might be able to name 2 maps, maybe 3 maps. With Halo 2, I can name a dozen maps.
Yeah.
And that just speaks to how good it was.
What do you
It still is, because Master Chief Collection's good.
Map design.
It's good again.
Yeah.
They fixed it. It's great now. 9.5. Although we're not grading on that scale anymore, but we did.
Yeah. It's 9 or 10, Ryan.
9.5 now.
Pick your grave.
Well, on the next re-review, I'll have
Yeah.
to choose between 9 and 10.
Can you remember Guardian from Halo 3? Anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, good maps.
Yes, I do.
Halo had a lot of great maps.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the loot box question as we move towards the end of the show. We've been sitting on this one for a while.
Dude.
True.
It's Welcome to Miranda Week
Hello.
on Unlocked. Michael from Portland, Oregon. I want to thank Miranda for advocating for Outer Wilds.
Never heard of it.
I recently finished the game and I absolutely loved it. To me, it was more than a game. It was a piece of art that left an emotional impact on me. However, after completing it, I feel empty. I find it hard starting other games now, knowing there's nothing else like it. Share a time a game affected you so much emotionally that you found it hard to keep gaming. What did you do to get out of this funk?
Yeah, I had to take like a few minutes break after, no, not a few minutes, it was like an hour. It's like, man, I just need to like cool down.
Yeah.
Like there's like a very big emotional payoff at the end if you kind of go through everything. At least I find it to be that way, and I'm glad, Michael, that you did too. For me, I definitely can like just think about really big games that just hit me. It's like Undertale, the first time I played Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild had some of that too. What I do usually is I just give it a little time to breathe, right? Like sit with that feeling. That's such a great feeling, and it's so rare to find games that can impact you like that.
Yeah.
Like it's okay just to
Very
like
true.
sit with it, and I don't know, go outside, go on a walk. I don't just like process it a little bit and like just like
Talk
live
to
in it.
somebody. Yeah.
Talk to somebody about it. Yeah, like go advocate like I did for months on end and tell people to play it so that they know it exists.
Vote
Because
Outer
it's free.
Wilds
Sorry,
2020.
It's
sorry,
Yes.
which game?
There's this other, Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds is also great. But with Outer Wilds, yes, I totally get that. Actually, I've actually gone back to Outer Wilds quite a bit and just flown around.
Yeah.
It's 2 of the songs are on like my time to go to sleep playlist. Like so
Nice.
it's just like I kind of keep that persisting through my life in different ways, and it's kind of just nice to be reminded of that really emotional moment that I had that was wonderful. So I would recommend just living with it.
Brandon, you got one of these?
Game where I just kind of had to sit with it for a while.
Yeah. Or one way or the other.
Man, that's hard.
Knocked you back.
That's hard because we've played so many damn games in our lives. I'm having trouble recalling like specific ones, but I do have this. I do know that feeling. I've had this feeling, and this is actually what I look for in video games. As I get older, I'm less worried about my KD or poning the noobs or like just being very good at a video game.
Because you're old and bad at video games.
Because I'm old and my reaction
Even
time.
hearing you say that, I'm like, you shouldn't be saying that. That's how we know you're old.
Hello, fellow kids.
Remember that Halo map? Yeah.
Remember that game that came out in 2004?
You want to talk about maps? No.
DE
my
Dust.
goodness.
It's just totally derailed my train of thought. Yeah, so this is actually what I look for in games. I look for things that like actually conjure weird emotions or make me look at things differently or change my perspective. I know the easy one. I think the easiest one is like Walking Dead season 1 hit me pretty hard.
I think
Sorry,
like that's-
buddy.
It's not
Sorry.
necessarily have to be an easy one.
It's all right.
but
I
like-
got another one.
Yeah, like it's just something that impacted you. That's
No,
important.
no. I'm trying to like
Yeah.
recall them. Like I have a terrible memory, so.
No, I get that.
The other thing,
Same.
the other one that got me pretty good, strangely enough, was Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah. No, it's
Amazing.
Walt Williams. Great story.
Yeah, Walt Williams wrote that. That was a really good game. I think it was Jaeger.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Story is just super interesting all the way through, and then at the end, it does like that weird Shyamalan like big twist reveal at the end where you're just like, oh no. And so you sit and you just steep in this, and you steep in like this new perspective that really changes the meaning behind a lot of what you've done in the past. Plus the music in that game is just rad. So yeah, those are a couple of examples of things that like hit me pretty hard.
Nice. Janet, you got one?
Yeah, probably a couple. I mean, the first ones that came to mind were What Remains of Edith Finch, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But the one that I think that I actually remember even more than that was Oxenfree, which I played that game. It's a single-player game, but I played it with my brother. And it's like you're kind of walking through. It's a little bit spooky, and you're kind of you're stuck on this like island, and you're trying to find your friends and get back and kind of stay safe basically because you just kind of came there to hang out. But weird stuff's happening, so you're adventuring through that island. There's some light puzzle solving, but it's more so a narrative game where you're choosing dialogue and making choices that impact what happens to your party or your friends. And that game is so like driven by the sibling relationship between I forgot the name of the main girl. I forget her name offhand, but like her and like her brother Michael, I think might be his name. But it's a lot about their relationship. She talks about him a lot. I was playing with my brother, and when we got to those choices of like, what do I tell my brother to do? Like kind of there's a point where, without getting too much into spoilers, there's kind of like, do I choose what keeps him safe? Do I go with what keeps him happier? Do I like roll the dice? Do I do this? And having to make those decisions alongside my brother was just so emotional. Like it just, I like felt all of that, and he did as well. And we kind of talked about it like during and after, like, wow, this is like really heavy, kind of reflecting on our own relationship in relation to what's happening on screen, and making those decisions together was very, very moving. I'd like to echo what Miranda said with kind of what the next steps are. I definitely give it time to breathe. Like I, chill out afterwards. And for me, it's about like, especially when you're not doing, playing games the way we do, where we play for coverage and to talk about it on shows to benefit you guys. Like when you're not living that life, you have the freedom to do whatever you want with gaming. So what I like to do, as much as I can within this job is, wait for a game that I feel like playing, that I'm like, you know what, I'm interested in this. Or maybe just like a multiplayer game. Someone says like, hey, let's play some FIFA really quick or something. I'll jump into that. But there's nothing like finding your next game that maybe it's not going to emotionally move you, but you're just like, wow, this is really fun. I haven't had this much fun in a game in like a little while. And you just feel like reinvigorated. Like what I look for in games is finding games that remind me why I do this job and why I love games. And sometimes it's emotional, and sometimes it's just for fun. The other thing I like to do, and this is more directly building on what Miranda said, is to talk to people about it. So maybe there's other people that played it that you can discuss it with. Maybe it's getting more people to play it, so you have more people to discuss it with. I like to seek out articles and podcasts. I haven't read this article yet, but I know Tom did a feature on the Outer Wilds and how it relates to his relationship with death. I've been saving that article for when I eventually play Outer Wilds, so I can read it and kind of, I'm not having that conversation with Tom, even though I can. He's in the room, right? He's like down a few desks, right? Not in this room, but it's cool because you kind of feel like you get some insight. One of the first things I did when I beat Inside, I was so interested in the story, is I literally just Googled like Inside and Explained, Inside detail. And
that's a good one too.
And I heard your guys' spoiler cast on it, and I was just like eating it up because I'm like, I need someone to talk about this with or to think about it with, and that's what I turn to articles and podcasts for. So I think if nothing else, like that's something I like to do because it helps me process it and kind of see like, how did you feel about it? How did it impact you? What, is someone else feeling what I'm feeling? And that's kind of catharsis for me in those moments.
Well, that was both of mine, was Walking Dead Season 1 and Inside. But that's okay. But to your exact point of like needing to
play
talk
those
to
games.
someone,
Yeah.
it was both of those games that just like really rocked me in an impactful way, in which a lot of games don't for me. Is when I finished. I've told this story on Unlocked before, so just real quick. When I finished Walking Dead Season 1, the end of it, I had to call Mitch Dyer because he was the only other person in the office that had finished it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was 11:30 at night, and I was like,
You're weeping.
I have to call. No, I was just like, it's late, but I have to talk to someone about this. So we just sat there and talked about the game till like midnight. And then with Inside, it was the same thing. We came in and it was just like, I think I was the first one to finish
I think you were.
Yeah.
And it was just like, everyone needs to play this because I need to talk to people about it right now. And finally, got a few people to do it. And yeah, that one sat with me for a long time because it's designed to. Mm-hmm. It's designed to. It's open to interpretation.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. But what I like to do is I'll usually palate cleanse after a game like that, where it's just, if I've just played Walking Dead Season 1 or Inside, it's okay, well, let's fire up Master Chief Collection or Doom.
Yeah.
Just something completely different.
I like doing that too.
It's just a 180 from what I've just played. But yeah, that's what's awesome about this medium of games. There's no shortage of thought-provoking games, and then people to talk about them with.
Yep, and
Which is
just
great.
my quick reminder: Outer Wilds is on Game Pass. which you can
So is not inside. So is
Oxenfree?
is Oxenfree.
Oxenfree
Thank
as
you.
well.
Yes. Glad you.
So it's
you
Doom
brought that one up.
2016.
Oh, another O
It
game.
is.
Oh yeah, another O game.
I think so.
We're gonna make this list.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Oh wait.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
You love games that start with the letter O.
Did not love Oxenfree. I played
Oh.
when it came in at launch, and it had
Streak is broken.
well, it just had a lot of bugs when it came out.
You know
First out on
what?
Xbox.
I feel like that might be something. Not to totally derail. I know we're wrapping up, but maybe Night School has some challenges with that because I started playing After Party really early, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's an enjoyable game. I'm liking it so far. Have some issues with the depth of field. Not
Yeah.
gonna get into it right now, but I'm like, it's a little framey.
I think it's fine now. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Like, we talked about this before. It's like when it first came out, like I lost. The save state was like so far back, and I had to restart twice.
Oh,
bummer. yeah.
It's so hard for me to get
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah.
Good
Anyway.
stuff now though.
Yeah, it's
Oxenfree's
good now.
really good.
Doom hit Game Pass.
Yeah.
Nice. Man.
That's
I
how
was playing it recently. I just re-downloaded it
stuff.
instead of getting the disc because I was too lazy to get it.
All right, let's do trivia real quick, and we got to get out of here. This one comes tailor-made for Miranda. Dan from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, big fan of Unlocked, and
Yay, thanks,
big
Dan.
fan of Miranda's as well. Here we go. I will go to Miranda last for obvious reasons. Which of the following was not a playable character in the original Fusion Frenzy, which Dan says is his fourth favorite original Xbox game?
Oh yeah.
He didn't mention what the others were. But I'm going to guess Halo 1, Halo 2, maybe KOTOR, maybe Fable. I don't know. But he likes Fusion Frenzy. So which of these isn't a playable character in Fusion Frenzy 1?
Look at me.
Simon, Naomi, Zach, or Jet? Miranda, I'll go your way. Excuse me.
Yes,
Janet, I
go
will go your way
Miranda's way
first. I'm
first.
looking over here.
Okay.
Janet.
I was trying to see if I could read her face while you read the questions. It's like a stone wall.
Coffee.
I'm gonna go.
Are you baby Yodaing it over there? Just with the.
with this is just me guessing, so I don't know why it's taking so long. I'll go with Naomi.
Okay.
That's my answer.
BT?
I'm gonna go with Simon, because I feel like Zach and Jet are totally Fusion Frenzy names, and then Naomi is a rounded
Could go
it out.
either way.
Yeah, I don't know. Simon or Naomi.
Yeah, I
have
was
a
either
50-50.
picking the name that was most or least, and I wasn't sure which.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel like Naomi's in the middle.
I'm
like-
assuming gender on Zach and Jet. I think they're both guys. And if we follow that sort of line of thinking, Naomi is a girl's name, so which leaves us Simon as like another guy, but also a little too normal for a game like Fusion Frenzy. Can't wait for this all to come unraveling as she's like, no, actually.
Actually, Jet is a woman.
Well, there you go.
but
So you got served.
Can I tell you the answer now?
Please.
Simon.
Yes.
Simon is not a character in Fusion Frenzy.
Well done.
Right answer, wrong
Jet, I
reason.
used to play
Still
Jet,
counts.
Jet
Still
a lot,
counts.
and also played Naomi. Jet had pink hair. She was good.
Nice.
Let's see.
This
here.
is like
Where
old math
is-
when you
there
didn't
it
have to
is.
show your work.
So this is good. So 2 points for Miranda, 2 points for Brandon Tyrell. Destin with just 1 point because he won't show up for the show.
Didn't we get points last week? I feel like we have more than just 2.
What was last week?
It was the week where
Oh,
Cardi
Simon-
said the answer, and then we were all like, "Yeah, that's what I was gonna pick."
Oh yeah, no, I did say everybody was going to get points.
You did, yeah. And I was
wait.
like, "Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yeah, why not?"
Okay, so wait,
Whatever.
so it's 3.
I'm a
There's
merciful
always that one
God.
Three.
class.
Yeah,
Destin wasn't here. Okay, that works.
This is Gina, Naomi.
I apologize to Jet.
Sam.
We did it.
I did not.
All right,
mean to
if you
besmirch
have an
Jet.
Xbox trivia question or a loot box question that you want to pose to the panel, you can send either of those to the same email address, and that is unlocked@ign.com. If you're sending in a trivia question, need the question, need the answer, so just mark the answer among the 4 multiple choice that I request that you send, and we will play again every week until we have another trophy to award.
Yeah.
Around the at the end of the year when we've got a new console to play on. Yay.
Yay.
All right. With that, it is time to get going. Janet, you want to plug anything you're working on at IGN, any of your social media channels, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I'm Game Honestist across all platforms that are out there. Definitely read and or watch my Ori preview. I'm also doing like kind of all of us were involved in some Final Fantasy VII remake demo coverage. So we have a good wiki page, like a walkthrough, how to get the secret ending. We have a bunch of footage going up. I think we have 2 more videos dropping on that. So just keep an eye out for any of that coverage.
Great. Brandon?
Yeah, we put up a boatload of Baldur's Gate coverage. That was last week. Good Lord.
Is it coming to Xbox or is it PC only?
Right now it's PC and
only.
Stadia only, but wink, maybe in the future. We asked about consoles and they changed the subject, so who knows?
I mean, it would seem like, especially with a new Xbox coming, that they could maybe make it work on
Great
there.
point. I don't think it's coming out this year. Maybe. It's coming to early access this spring for sure. But anyway, you can go find all our Baldur's Gate coverage. That game is so dope, especially if you like tabletop RPGs. Outside that, if you like gory stuff, stay tuned. And if you, I don't know, like video games, you're already in the right place right here at IGN.com.
Well done.
Thanks.
Miranda?
Well, I will try to close out after that, kind of.
Bam.
A little bit, continuing that. Anyway, I reviewed the new My Hero Academia movie, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, so you can read that review. In other very important news, if you're watching the video version or if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you will know that I have a new Gears mug, and I'm very excited. Unfortunately, my old one was either stolen or broken. We don't know what
That
happened
is
to
some
it.
BS right there.
I think I left it in the sink when I was going to wash it, and then I got distracted and didn't come back to get it for the first time. Every single time I wash it, bring it back to my desk. First time.
All it takes is
Never
once.
saw it.
That's why we need quick resume.
Yeah, I don't.
You never know when you get distracted.
And we'll get distracted. So, yeah, who knows what happened to it? But Rod Ferguson was very kind.
That's really
before he
cool.
left Vancouver,
Rod's benevolent final act as the head of the studio at the Coalition.
It was very, very nice of him to reach out. And
It was like a presidential pardon on his way out of office. Oh my God.
That was beautiful.
Oh, man.
Well
Right?
said.
Thank you.
And I have some cool Xbox stuff coming up next week. So
Excellent.
And I think I
Find
saw
out
on
later.
Twitter today's Rod's first day of Blizzard. So
Yeah.
good luck
Saw
to
that.
him.
It's good stuff.
I'm so excited.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. And I am heading up along with Tom Marks the IGN first month-long coverage on a game that's sadly not coming to Xbox, but makes me very happy as a human and as a video game player, and that is Half-Life Alyx, which it's a new Half-Life, man. I've played 4 hours of it.
Yeah.
dang.
God, I hated leaving there without finishing the game. That was a painful one to pull myself away from. We got a lot coming up all month long, starting with right now 9 minutes, a 9-minute stretch of gameplay. You can kind of really see it in action, see what it's all about, see what Half-Life in VR looks like.
And that's out real soon, right?
It's coming out. It's towards the end of the month. Yeah,
Oh, man.
March 23rd. But
Wow.
we've got a couple of things coming out after the game's out for spoiler reasons. So
Makes sense.
that'll be good. So check out all that coverage all month long. And that'll do it for Miranda, Brandon, and Janet. I'm Ryan. This was Unlocked 433, I think. Yeah, 433.
Getting up there.
We will see you guys next week. What is this? Where's outro button? Nope.